Okay, I just got to enter attendance in Trillium. Let me just make sure. Chelsea and Leba, not here, right? All right, let me just do attendance on Trillium and get your study questions ready. Okay, guys, let's take up chapter 8. Important chapter, lots of questions.
Miss, sorry, my Wi-Fi just cut out. So if you said anything after the presentation, I didn't hear.
No, I was just doing attendance on
Okay.
Trillium. And now we're going to take up the study questions. Yeah, I know. That's why I was a couple minutes late, because the Wi-Fi here at school was down right at the moment, like right at 1 o'clock, when all the teachers had to log on to their online classes. All right, number 1, chapter 8. What was the change in the 6th commandment that justified Napoleon's executions? Jason.
It changed into that. It says that you can kill a fellow animal if the reason is justified.
The reason is justified. What exactly does the commandment read?
No, I just changed it a little bit.
You can't change it a little bit. We need the exact words. What are the exact words?
Like, you can kill a fellow animal if if the reason is good, I think.
That's not the exact words.
That's I didn't write the exact commandment.
Jason, get a grip. All right, who can give me the exact word? Come on. Siddhartha.
No animal shall kill any other animal without a cause.
Thank you. Okay, so once again, we see the corruption of language, right? The perversion of language, the corruption of language. In this case, a fundamental set of rules, which is the commandments, which were supposed to be the foundation of their new utopian society, have been altered. This accompanies the corruption of a political ideal. You know, the true spirit of animalism, as described by Old Major, is being corrupted. And Orwell's message to us, because Orwell was a visionary, he could see, his message to us is that the power to change language is the power to change reality, okay? And that our language reflects our beliefs and reflects our values, So, think about, the language that we use today, right? So for example, look at some sports teams and their names, right? Like the Cleveland Indians, and how we want to change some of those names because they are kind of racist, right? Well, back then they didn't see anything wrong with that, right? Now we see something wrong with that, and there's petitions to change names like the Cleveland Indians and like that other sports team, the Red Hawks, or the Black Hawks. Even like the sexist language that we use, so for example, if you're writing something and, you have to use he or she, right? Because you don't know the gender, right? You always use he, for example, right? Which indicates that we still live in a patriarchal society, in a male-dominated society. The fact that we always use he instead of she. And Orwell's telling us that the power to change language is the power to change our values, our beliefs, and our reality. Number 2, what new honors were now being given to Napoleon? What new honors? Jasmine?
The new honors that were now being given to Napoleon are the gun would be fired every year on Napoleon's birthday and like the 2 anniversaries. And he was referred to as our leader, Comrade Napoleon, and the pigs gave him titles as Father of all animals, terror of mankind, Protector of the sheepfold, Duckling's friend, and the like. Also, everyone gave Napoleon the credit for every successful achievement and every stroke of good fortune.
Excellent. Someone who put some effort in their answer. Very, very good, Jasmine. Okay. So you can see that in these honors that they're bestowing on him, and a couple more, he appeared very little. When he did, he not only had the dogs, but a black cockerel who marched in front of him and acted as a trumpeter, letting out a loud cock-a-doodle-doo. That kind of reminds me of the Merchant of Venice. You know how whenever a prince came to Portia's palace, they'd have like trumpets playing to announce the arrival of the prince. That's like what's happening here with Napoleon. That cockerel, that big bird, would announce that he was coming. And also in the farmhouse, he is not with the other pigs, right? He has a separate apartments from the others. Okay, so he's isolated from the others. He took his meals alone with 2 dogs to wait upon him and ate from the Crown Derby dinner service. Okay, Jasmine mentioned that the gun was fired every year on his birthday. He was called our leader, Comrade Napoleon. He was credited with every good thing that happened on the farm. And Minimus wrote a poem praising him, and it was inscribed on the wall of the big barn at the opposite end of the 7 commandments. So what are they making Napoleon out to be? What are they making him out to be in all of this? What portrayal of him are they presenting? Anyone? He is like a what?
Miss, can I say it?
Yeah, I'm waiting for someone to raise their hand or turn on their microphone. Anyone?
I said, in my opinion, the poem written for Napoleon portrays him as some sort of a god to the animals.
Excellent point. That's exactly what I was looking for. They are making him out to be like a god, a deity, right? And this is the final element in the psychology of totalitarian dictatorship, right? Where the leader is seen like a god. And this happened in Russia too with Stalin, right? You know, like in the morning, how we have the national anthem, they'd have some kind of anthem to Stalin. You know, they would, all the history books that the kids would study from at school were all books about all of Stalin's accomplishments and praising him, and you know, and it would be on the radio and in news reports all over the media because the government controlled the media, right? So this was like, you know, the psychology of a dictatorship where the perversion of language, propaganda, the rewriting of history, all of these serve to brainwash the people into believing that the leader is some kind of god and he is infallible, which means he can't make mistakes. God is infallible. Okay, that kind of answers number 3. Let's move on to number 4. What is unusual about what Napoleon is doing with Pilkington? Kian?
Even though Whymper was the link between them, the relations between Napoleon and Pilkington were almost friendly.
Okay. What else? Okay, yes, their relationship seemed almost friendly. And what about this timber? Tell me, who wants to tell me about the timber?
Frederick, sorry, that's all I put for that question.
Okay. Who can tell me about the timber? It's an important part of the story. Okay. So there was a pile of timber yet to be sold. Napoleon had arranged to sell it to Pilkington. He was also going to enter into a regular agreement for the exchange of certain products between Animal Farm and Foxwood Farm. So between himself and Pilkington, right? And like Kieran said, the relations between Napoleon and Pilkington, although they were conducted through Whymper, seemed almost friendly. Okay? Remember, they're not supposed to be friends with human beings. How did Napoleon get the animals to hate Frederick? Tasia?
I didn't do number 5, Miss.
Tasia, why not? Did you not do the study questions?
No, I did do the study questions, but I didn't do number 5 because there was like, I was kind of confused because there was like a few different, there's a few different things that I seen in the book, so I wasn't really sure which one.
Tasia, you have to do all the questions, okay? This is not even a thinking question. It's a simple content question, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How did Napoleon get the animals to hate Frederick? Amy?
He explained that he never contemplated selling the pile of timber to Frederick because he considered it beneath his dignity to have dealings with a villain of that description.
All right. Not really what I was looking for. Maya Career, what'd you get?
They spread friending and horrid stories.
What stories? What stories were they spreading? Maya?
I didn't write them down.
What do you mean you didn't write them down?
I just wrote that they.
Okay, you know what? Spreading stories is a really insufficient answer. That is an insufficient answer. What were the stories? What exactly were they spreading? What kind of an answer is they were spreading stories? I'm going to keep going. Person Ryan, what'd you get?
Napoleon got the animals to hate Frederick by stating that Frederick intended to bring 20 men armed with guns and had already bribed the magistrates and police so that they could claim the title deeds to Animal Farm. And there were rumors that of the cruelties that Frederick practices upon the animals. They included Frederick flogged an old horse to death. He starved the cows, killed a dog by throwing it into the furnace, and this drove the animals' blood with rage.
Thank you. Finally, someone who answered the question. You realize I'm doing midterm report cards for you next week, and I'm going to be writing down your study skills, right? All your work habits. That's why I call on you individually to see who's done their homework. Those are insufficient answers. Thank you, Harsimran. Yes, the rumors were that his men were plotting to attack Animal Farm and destroy the windmill, which of course would drive the animals to anger. And everything else Harsimran said, how he was abusive to his animals and all of that. Thank you. Number 6, what new information was learned about Snowball by the animals? Gian.
One day the wheat crop was full of weeds, and it was discovered that on one of his nocturnal visits, Snowball had mixed weed seeds with the seed corn. Also, the animals learned that Snowball never received the order of Animal Hero First Class, and it was merely a legend which has been spread sometime after the Battle of the Cowshed by Snowball himself.
Very good. So again, we see the rewriting of history, right? Because some of the animals, they weren't there at the Battle of the Cowshed, right? Years have passed. So they weren't there. All they can rely on is the information that they are told, right? So, this is like the government writing the history books that students study from at school and putting their own spin on history. And it was also said that Snowball had inspired 3 hens to enter into a plot to murder Napoleon. Number 7, what did Napoleon say would be the name of the mill? What would be the name? Harrison?
He named it a Napoleon.
Right, named it after himself. Very good. What was it that struck dumb the animals? What did they discuss? Okay, so this is, let's see, Ozazi?
I put down that what struck dumb the animals was when Napoleon announced that he sold the pile of timber to Frederick.
Very good.
We were discussing about that.
Okay, and so Napoleon announced that he sold a pile of timber to Frederick. The pigeons had been told to avoid Pinchfield Farm and to alter their slogan from death to Frederick to death to Pilkington. And the stories of an impending attack on Animal Farm were completely untrue, and the tales about Frederick's cruelty to his animals had been greatly exaggerated. All rumors spread by Snowball told the animals that this was all pre-planned by Napoleon to outsmart Frederick. By pretending to be friendly with Pilkington, Frederick increased his offer for the timber by 12 pounds. He tried to pay with a check, but Napoleon did not trust him and demanded payment in real 5-pound notes. Now, we are supposed to be aware of something here that the animals are not. Okay, so the reader should be aware, right, that this was Napoleon's tactics. He was pinning the two farmers against each other to raise the price, right? So the animals are not aware of this, but we, the reader, should, as I'm sure you all were, right? Right. He's just pitting the two farmers against each other to raise the price of the timber. You know, it's just like when you're selling a house and there are two offers, right? You say, well, this person offered 280 so that you can get the other person to offer 285. Okay? It's you're pitting the two against each other to raise the price. And this is an analogy of the Soviet relations with the West. Sometimes they would side with Germany, sometimes they would side with other countries. Okay? Number 9, to discredit Pilkington, where was Snowball said to be living? Maya Khan?
To discredit Pilkington, Snowball is said to be living on Foxwood Farm.
Very good. And apparently he was living there for many years. How had Frederick outsmarted Napoleon? This is very interesting. Samir?
Frederick tricked Napoleon by giving him a fake check as payment for the wood.
It wasn't a check, it was banknotes. Okay? I believe that's money. So he paid him with false money or false fake banknotes. So he totally outsmarted Napoleon. What was the outcome of the battle? What was the outcome of the battle? Sarah?
A few of the animals were lost in the battle, as well as every animal injured. Frederick and his men blew up the windmill, but were later attacked by the animals, who ended up winning the victory later on.
Yes, very good. The animals won, quote unquote, the victory, because really, we see they didn't really win anything at all. And the windmill was blown up, and a cow, 3 sheep, and 2 geese were killed. Number 12, how did the animals react to the explosion? Mehdi?
They're mad because the windmill got destroyed and had to build it up again.
Exactly. And it was the exploding of the windmill that really got the fire in their bellies and got them so angry that they lunged at the culprits and drove them off the farm. This was the catalyst which caused them to win the battle. It was not Napoleon's pathetic screaming at them. After all, it was their sweat, blood, and sacrifice that built that windmill. How did the pigs celebrate their victory? Adrian?
The pigs celebrated their victory by drinking the whiskey they found in the farmhouse and singing "The Beast of England" loudly.
Okay, good. Anything else they did? What else did they do? Aiden?
I put that they shot a gun and drank alcohol.
Okay, they fired the gun 7 times. Napoleon makes a congratulatory speech praising the animals, which helps lift their spirits. There was a solemn funeral for those who died, and 2 days of celebrations with songs, speeches, and a special gift of 1 apple for each animal, 2 ounces of corn for each bird, and 3 biscuits for each dog. And why do you think they were having all of these celebrations? What did the pigs want the animals to forget? Come on, guys, try to think. What did the pigs want the animals to forget?
That the windmill was destroyed.
Good, that the windmill was destroyed. What else? What had just happened? What did we just talk about? Alan?
That the pigs had been cheated by Frederick.
Exactly, and not just the pigs, but Napoleon himself, their infallible leader who's supposed to be like God, that is like untouchable and can make no mistakes. He was fooled by Frederick, right? So in all these rejoicings and all these celebrations, the affair of the banknotes was forgotten, which is exactly what the pigs wanted. And the celebrations also distracted the animals from the fact that they really didn't accomplish anything. There really wasn't anything to celebrate. They didn't really win the farm because the farm is no longer theirs anyways. The farm belongs to the pigs. And what they lost was a lot more important than what they won. What they lost was 2 years worth of back-breaking labor building that windmill. Okay, and that is far greater than anything they may have gained. 14. What was Napoleon dying of? Koa? Yes, drinking alcohol. He's drunk. He has a hangover. Isn't that funny? A pig with a hangover? He found a case of whiskey in the cellar. The pigs got drunk. And Squealer came out and said that Napoleon had pronounced a solemn decree. The drinking of alcohol was punished by death. Okay, but this did not last very long. Once the hangover passed, that brings us to the next question. Why did he want a barley crop? Japanese?
So he could grow the alcohol.
What alcohol? What do you grow with barley?
I don't know. I just know it produces alcohol.
No, it doesn't produce alcohol. What does it produce specifically?
Like wheat?
What do you mean wheat? Beer.
I don't know.
Barley is for beer. So look at the book. The book says beer. You write beer. I want these questions answered correctly, as a grade 11 university student would answer them. 16. Why had Squealer been up on the ladder with paint? Alan?
He was up on the ladder to change the set commandment. So he changed no animal shall drink alcohol to no animal shall drink alcohol to excess.
Very good. So even when they find Squealer with the paint and fallen off the ladder, right, because he's drunk, so he fell off, they are still too dumb to make the connection that he has been changing the commandments. Okay? And that goes with the saying, knowledge is power. One of the reasons why the animals can be manipulated this much is because they're dumb. They're dumb. They're uneducated. That's why they're so easy to manipulate. Okay, do you remember those that chart that we were doing comparing the characters in the book to the Russian Revolution? Okay, we have to continue with that. So let's see, Gian and Ozazi. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do your presentation today. So if not, you're going to have to present on Tuesday. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, we'll see. We'll copy the note, and then if we have time, we'll do your presentation. Okay, so I'm going to put the note up. You are not to take pictures. You are to copy. When you take a picture, it doesn't get in your head, and you're never going to look at that picture again. All right. Copy, copy.
Miss, can you go to Joseph Stalin for like a minute?
Joseph Stalin. That's not today,
Yeah.
is it? Okay, so Napoleon was not a good speaker, not as clever like Snowball. He was cruel, he was brutal, he was selfish, he was devious, and he was corrupt. His ambition was for power, right? His motivations were selfish. It was all about his own selfish desires, and it was all about his ambition to maintain power in that farm. And in order to maintain that power, he killed his opponents. He used the dogs, he used Moses, and he used Squealer to control the animals, to control them through fear and through brainwashing, conditioning, mental conditioning. And he represents Joseph Stalin in the revolution, who was not a good speaker, not educated like Trotsky. Same as Napoleon, he didn't follow Marx's vision. He didn't follow Marx's ideas. Trotsky, he was a true Marxist. He cared for power. He killed all those that opposed him. So we saw that during Joseph Stalin's reign, it has been documented that he killed 20 million people. So that's only the amount. So he is the most brutal mass murderer in all of history. And, it has been documented that he killed 20 million people. So you can imagine how many people it really was, because so many people, it wasn't documented, it wasn't reported. He used the KGB to follow through with his executions. He allowed the church, and he used propaganda to brainwash the people. Okay, Squealer has a big mouth. He talks a lot. He convinces the animals to believe and follow Napoleon. He changes and manipulates the commandments. And he represents the propaganda department. It says Lenin's government, but it should say Stalin's. Okay, because Lenin, it should say Stalin. I don't know why it says Lenin. That's a mistake. So it worked for Stalin to support his image, used any lie to convince the people to follow Stalin, benefited from the fact that education was controlled. And it should say controlled by the government, right? So everything that the kids were learning in school was controlled by the government. And, this propaganda was proliferated in school, in education. And that's one of the ways that the strongest ways that they brainwashed the people was by incorporating it in the curriculum, in education, as well as in the media. And the government controlled all the media outlets. The dogs, a private army that used fear to force animals to work, killed or intimidated any opponent of Napoleon, another part of Napoleon's strategy to control the animals. And they represent the KGB, the secret police, not really police, but force support for Stalin, used force, often killed entire families for disobedience or perceived disobedience, totally loyal. Again, it says Lenin, it should say Stalin. I gotta change these. Totally loyal, part of Stalin's power, even over army. Oh, I know why it says Lenin's power. It's because Lenin was the one who originally formed the KGB. And Moses the Raven, he tells the animals about Sugar Candy Mountain, which is an analogy of heaven, right? The animals can go there if they work hard. Snowball and Old Major were against him. They thought heaven was a lie to make animals work, to stop revolutions. Napoleon let him stay because he taught animals to work and not complain. So at first, Napoleon and the pigs kicked Moses out, right? Because they didn't believe in the lies that he told and didn't believe in religion and his lies about Sugar Candy Mountain. But once things on the farm turned bad, they brought Moses back, and they even gave him, I forget how much, maybe you guys know, a ration of beer to keep him there, because he gave the animals hope, right? Religion gives people hope. and giving the people hope and giving the animals hope, it stopped revolutions. So Marx said it was the opiate of the people. An opiate is like a drug, a hallucinogen, a lie used to make people not complain and do their work. Religion was tolerated because people would work, and Stalin knew religion would stop violent revolutions. Okay, we have one more thing to copy, one more page, but we'll do that on Tuesday. Did everyone finish copying? Everyone finished? Okay. Are there any questions about those overheads? All right, take out chapter 9 and start reading the chapter and answering the questions. We're almost finished the book. Chapter 9 and 10, that's it. Okay.